name is Sofia Ehrich, and I am an art historian, academic researcher, and curator of multisensory experiences. Right now, my main work is with the European-funded project Odoropa, which advocates for smells and smelling as important to Europe's cultural heritage. And it is my pleasure to welcome you as the host of the Internet of Senses podcast for the Sense of Smell. And today I have Pamela Dalton with me, who is a cognitive psychologist and has a PhD in experimental psychology and a master's in public health. She is currently the principal investigator of the Monell Chemical Senses Center and co-chair of the Monell postdoctoral training program. And we'll talk today also about the Monell Center, so I'll introduce what the Monell Center is. Founded over 50 years ago, the Monell Center is an independent nonprofit science institute in the United States that conducts basic research on the chemical senses. A leader in scientific discovery, Monell's world-class scientists advance understanding of taste and smell to benefit human health and well-being. The center's outstanding interdisciplinary research programs incorporate approaches that range from molecular biology to behavioral neuroscience, from analytical chemistry to comparative sensory ecology and clinical work with human patients. So welcome today, Pamela. Thanks for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, so today we will, of course, talk about smell, but we'll also talk about all of the senses, or the chemosensory senses specifically, health and safety, non-lethal weapon development, which I'm really curious about, and also the Monell Chemical Senses Center. So my first question for you today to start the conversation is, can you start by explaining to our audience what your main research interests are, because there are many, I think, and your journey to starting your personal research on olfaction or our sense of smell?
Happy to do so. Well, I've always been intrigued by the way smells intertwine themselves into our life's experience. And so I've always had very fond memories that were revived by odors and smells that I associated with people, places, and things. And so when I first started using smell in graduate school, I used it as a context cue. I tried to understand how being in the presence of a particular odor that you had first experienced something in would help you remember or recognize that person or that place a second time. So I didn't know much about the way the brain worked with odor, the sense of olfaction. I was concentrating mostly on things like visual perception, learning, and memory. And I became so intrigued with how important the sense of smell is to our navigating through the world on an everyday basis that I decided to pursue it more regularly. And so most of my interests involve how people perceive, detect, and experience the odor world around them. Now, that could also be things that they put on their body, but it's also things that waft to us in the air, and how we evaluate whether those are odors that we should stick around or we should go away from, and how our own experience, our personal experience, guides us to interpret the odor world in different ways. And we can talk a little bit more about that later, but I really study the whole range of human reaction to the sensory world that's brought to us by our noses.
Okay, very interesting.